Old School Automotive back again here today, guys. Today, as you can see, we're looking at the 1966 Ford Mustang. If you've seen my videos before, you will probably notice that it is sitting up just a little bit higher in the back end. And that is because very recently, as in about a month ago now, I've got a few miles on her now, but anyway, about a month ago now, I put these new leaf springs back here. Get you a good little look at them there. And we'll get under there a little closer here in a second. So these are the 5 leaf and the said stock ride height from CJ Pony. All that being said, obviously it is not at the same height that it was before. And that's probably because the springs that were on it were probably the original springs, and they're very worn out. Also, if you notice back here on my particular 1966 Ford Mustang, we have what they used to call shackles next to the exhaust pipes back here where these new leaf springs bolt up. You can see that new black leaf spring between those two flat pieces of painted metal there. That is why I believe this thing is riding a little higher than it normally would, even with these specifying stock ride height. Like I said, they're the 5 leaf springs from CJ Pony, and let me just tell you guys, it's a huge improvement from what I was running around with before. Those old ones, I'm pretty sure they're the original to the car. Before, back here on the back tires, I'm pretty sure I had about 3 fingers, and now I have 5 or 6, if you can see that. And the interesting thing that happened is actually when I got these new springs in the back on here, it wound up raising the front of the car up, which is strange. I almost didn't used to be able to fit 2 fingers barely in there like that. So we maybe gained like half an inch on the front. But so what that's really telling me is that those old springs were really just worn out. And I do believe the reason that these new springs in the back help to lift the front is because of how far forward they come, where they bolt in. The place where they bolt is actually all the way up here, nearest the door. And obviously, if the old ones were really sagging really bad, that would have caused the front to be down lower and also take a lot more dip when you go over a dip, if one might say. But anyway, so as far as am I happy with these, I'm definitely happy with the way the car rides. I mean, maybe it's just me, but I think the roads, at least around here, and well, not around here, they're pretty nice around here in Vineland, but if you go to town in Pueblo, they are pretty rough, and especially some of the side streets, residential neighborhoods. I mean, they're just rough, and driving my old Ranger there over some of those bumps, it just feels like it's trying to break my back. But putting these new springs on the Mustang sure made a whole lot of difference going through those rough roads. Just one more thing I wanted to point out about them. You know, if you're considering doing something like this, I don't know if all these Mustangs have the same length U-bolts on them. Those are going to be the bolts right there that bolt the leaf spring to the axle. Mine were just long enough. Let me get under here a little better. Forgive the weird camera-ness for a second. You can see those nuts with the U-bolts just barely sticking out of the end of them. Mine were just long enough to not have to replace them, so I was actually able to use all of the original hardware. And these particular ones that I bought, I also had to replace these rear bushings that are up inside the leaf spring right here in the very back. I used the ones that were on the old leaf springs They were not cracked. They were in fairly good shape. Apologize for the camera again. Anyway, so if you guys are thinking that maybe your old Mustang might be sagging a little in the back and could maybe use a little rejuvenation going over some dips and stuff, you might consider getting those. It was, all said and done, I think they probably showed up here for, well, around $275 from eBay. Like I said, they were CJ Pony parts. Worked out really well. I did it all myself. It was a little difficult. I'd suggest maybe you have a helper if you're going to do it, but I would suggest it. It really improves the drivability, especially if you're working with the old stock shocks and struts and leaf springs. Just those leaf springs in the back, even without doing the shocks, will just make a world of difference. Anyway, guys, I appreciate it. Like and subscribe for more.